Hi everybody, Josanne, it's Fawn the City here. We're starting a little bit late. We were hoping that we had some more people come join us today, but we've got a ton of people that just wanted to watch us from the comfort of their home or the beach or wherever they are. But we are going to go ahead and talk today. I have with me two special guests, Mark from Rise Up Medical and Lynn from Saluma. So we are going to talk about wellness and peptides today, and if you have any questions, certainly type them in. We will try to answer them, and hopefully we talk about everything that is of interest to you and you get those questions answered anyway. Okay, so I wanted to start out with just some basic injectables that we do here at the office, and that is both B12 and skinny B12. B12 is basically just for energy. Skinny B12 is, it's not going to make you lose weight. The idea behind a skinny B12 shot is that it has compounds mixed in with it that help you burn fat if you are dieting. But you need to do that on a consistent basis. You don't just get to take one shot and you're going to burn, hundreds of grams of fat instantly. It doesn't work like that. It helps your body become more efficient at fat burning. You can take these shots ideally once a week. It's best to just, without a blood test, there's really no way to know how efficient it is, but you just kind of how you feel. If your energy level has improved, not like coffee, just overall general energy. You should wake up clearer headed, less brain fog, and I made it. Come on in, we've already started.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine.
Morning.
Have a seat. Do you want to grab some water?
Okay.
Okay. So less brain fog, also that low that we experience a lot of times in the middle of the afternoon where you just, you feel like you need a Snickers bar. That's a lot of times a signal that you're low in B12. So just a weekly, sometimes even a monthly shot for some people, depending upon your diet, will solve that problem. We also have glutathione. We talk about how important glutathione is as an antioxidant. It's naturally occurring in our bodies, but as we age, like with so many other things, we lose glutathione. And when you take, there's things that take away from the glutathione in our system. So if you take a lot of Tylenol, a lot of acetaminophen, it basically destroys the stores of glutathione that we have in our body. And I am here to attest to that. I just had a blood eval done, and even though I take regular shots of glutathione, my glutathione levels were critically low in my body. Had I taken Tylenol the day or the day before that I had the blood work done, I don't remember at this point, but I have a lot of, the blood work showed that I had a lot of oxidative stress in my body, and glutathione is what's used to combat that oxidative stress. So my body is using up whatever I have in store, so that signals to me that I need more glutathione. People talk about whether or not they can take it orally. Glutathione is one of those things that, yes, you can take orally, but we know that you lose a lot of it when you swallow it. It gets lost in the gut, in the stomach and intestine. So you're not going to get as much into your system as it is when you took an injection. Now you can come into the office and get an injection of glutathione. We also can sell you a vial of glutathione, and you can self-inject at home. It is on one of those things that you don't need a prescription for it, so we can supply you with that if you feel like you are low in glutathione. So that's a nice thing. Then we have GLPs. So we're going to talk briefly about the different GLPs. People hear about, is this one of the things you want to hear about?
Can you tell me what GLP stands for?
Yes.
Because I've heard it, but I don't know what it stands for.
So the GLP, the actually,
Yes, exactly.
It's glucagon-like peptide,
Correct.
right?
Okay.
And then so it's like one, if it hits one,
So you have GLP-1, which is a single receptor that it connects with. GLP-2, which is, we most commonly hear as tirzepatide. It hits 2 different receptors, or has 2 different conversations with the cell. And you have the GLP-3, which is hitting 3 different receptors.
Okay.
And that's one that you're going to hear in the industry called retatrutide.
Okay.
That's kind of the newest, GLP that's coming out that everybody's talking about that
Great to know.
will be that great new longevity molecule.
yes. So we also now know that we can look at our GLPs for 2 different things. We can look at our GLPs for obesity, weight loss, where we need to lose over 25 pounds, where our BMI is high. But we can also look at microdosing, either a GLP 1, 2, or 3, where we're taking a little tiny bit of this and we're injecting it usually every other week, just to help our pancreas fight all of the added sugar that's in the American diet. So it's crazy when you really start looking at labels where all you find sugar.
Everywhere.
I found a fabulous new potato chip. They use avocado oils. I mean, it's organic potatoes, great. Sea salt, fabulous. I got the sea salt and black pepper, and I looked at the label. I was standing there munching a chip, and I looked at the label. Sugar.
Dextrose.
Sugar.
Oh.
Cane sugar.
Oh, really?
On a potato chip. It was like, why do we have to read, it's not a sweet chip, why do we have to read the label for a potato chip? But sea salt, there's no sugar. They added black pepper, they decided to put sugar in it. So it's like, you never know where you're going to find sugar. And our pancreas does so much heavy lifting in our whole body that when our pancreas is stressed, it puts stress on all of the other organs. So helping by microdosing those either GLP-1, 2, or 3, and giving your pancreas a little bit of an edge can really help with longevity and anti-aging from the inside
Internally.
and from the inside out. Yes.
Because
Do
it
you
also
want to?
helps, because it
you
also
wanna-
helps with insulin
Yes,
resistance
and
at
your
the same
insulin.
time.
Yes.
And it also helps when you get into the GLP-3, you also start getting into the metabolism of fat, which I think is a big one, because the third receptor is a glucagon receptor. And basically what that does is that basically tells the fat that's stored in your liver to be broken down into sugars and then utilized into the body. So it's really interesting because when you look at the GLPs, just from a topic standpoint, you have some of the receptors that are trying to bring sugar down in your body, while glucagon's actually rising it up because it's trying to release it out of your liver, helping you metabolize fat so that you start losing more weight. And it's one of the things that when we talk about GLP-3s that they're seeing in the research is the fact that you can actually eat more than what your daily amount is and still lose weight. And it's the glucagon receptor that's playing a role in that.
Because you're burning,
you're burning fat more
so
efficiently.
much. And the other nice difference between the GLP 1 and 2 versus the GLP 3 is we know GLP 1 and 2 will burn muscle mass also. It attacks your muscles. And not everyone is very diligent about heavy weight training when they start using a GLP-1 for a lot of weight loss. So we see that, we've seen that with all of the Hollywood people. We've seen what a difference in their faces and their bodies. If we could see them, a lot of those people that went like John Goodman with what he looks like now, with what he looked like before, if we could see him without clothes on, you would be really surprised to see it's not just fat that they lost. I mean, I'm guilty of it too.
Yeah.
I had my muscle mass checked last year to this year, and I lost muscle mass because I was on a GLP.
Mhm.
I was on a
yeah,
GLP
they've got
too.
new scales and
Mhm.
stuff like that will do that.
Yeah.
Is it more, what do they call that? Functional medicine? Is that how you're learning all these things about your body?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's
Yes.
going to play a large part in the functional medicine. You know, a lot of times these things are being brought out as weight loss support items, but then they're finding out with insulin resistance and the way it's helping your body metabolize that actually it has more of a functional role in the body for longevity. So, I mean, we think, you know, like the GLP-1 when it first came out, that was strictly in order to try and stop create a slower release of food out of your stomach, kind of stop the hunger. When they came out with a second receptor, which was called GIP, that one was a function of helping you to metabolize things better with your muscles. So it had more of a muscle sparing capability to it, so you didn't lose as much muscle. Because when you just stop eating, that's where we see most people losing muscle, because the body still has to eat that resource, right? When it can't get it somewhere else, it's going to the muscle. The GLP-3 is actually having less side effects to it because you can take lower dosages and still preserve more. The biggest thing that we also have to tell people is you have to force yourself to eat, because we see that too many times where they pay attention to the fact that their appetite's been suppressed, and then they don't eat as much, and then they lose muscle, even when the ingredients in there are still trying to be sparing the muscle. So yeah.
And I think just a reminder, this is why protein is being advertised like you've never seen before. I mean, do you hear about protein every single hour of the day? Yes.
Yes.
This is exactly why, because if you don't eat, you need to eat protein, not potato chips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we all need our comfort food,
It's
right?
okay.
I wasn't calling her out. I was just saying,
Your time is coming.
she gave an example, I had to tie it in.
That's right.
That's hilarious.
So we can lose weight and still have our guilty pleasures.
Yes. But what, we found that, the people that not everyone, but the majority of people that got on the GLP-1 and GLP-2 initially.
Is that like Ozempic and all those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Ozempic, Mounjaro,
education.
Wegovy, those are all of the brand names. The compounded names are semaglutide,
Right.
tirzepatide, those are, and then what they really are GLP-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
GLPs. So,
Are you a doctor, sir?
No, but my initials are ND, but I'm not a doctor.
Oh, I was excited about that joke.
When I used to train physicians all the time, they used to ask me if I was a doctor, and I would say, no, but I am an MD, and that would stump a room for quite a while until I told them what my initials stood for.
that's his last name,
Are you a
MD.
pharmaceutical representative?
No, actually, I own a biologics company, of which peptides is the things that we do, so we work
okay.
alongside,
Oh, okay.
of Josanne with the peptides, but we like them as a total source because we're dealing in a cellular stem cell type therapies along with peptides,
Okay.
just to kind of describe how they're utilized, because one doesn't solve all, it's really the combination, and when you combine those two, it's a beautiful synergy.
But people that are overweight are typically not exercising.
Correct.
So that's where we got into this bad cycle. So they're taking a shot and they're losing weight, and we're saying you need to exercise. But part of the reason that they were overweight is that they weren't exercising. So you're losing weight, and you know that you should be going to the gym and lifting weights, but that wasn't part of your routine. So it's easy to just keep losing weight and saying, oh, well, look, I'm losing all of this weight without going to the gym. How fabulous is that? But it has consequences, especially as we age, because we know, especially as women, we have got to have some weight-bearing exercises for
Correct.
our bones.
That's it.
Yes.
Because bone is a direct relationship to muscle mass.
I'm
What it carries is-
osteopenia.
That's
Yes.
right. Yes. Oh,
It's
yes.
the precursor to
Yes.
osteoporosis. So
Yes.
my OBGYN, I love him to death. that has been after me.
Weights.
Yep.
I just joined the gym 2 weeks ago.
Good for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Good job.
Good for you. And you know, small gains will mean a lot. You know, just 3 times a week doing weights will make a big difference when he checks you, you know, in another year. You really, your DECA scan hopefully
Is that the
will,
bone density?
that
I'm due for one of those, as a matter of fact. So.
will improve. Well, good. You'll have a good baseline, and then when you get the next one, hopefully it has improved.
Well, that's where you can even talk about your, you know, growth hormone stimulators.
Yes.
At the same time, so while you're exercising, you can be stimulating the growth hormone release.
What's that?
So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's one of the peptide combinations
Yes.
that we'll have available here. Not everybody wants to be on a GLP. Not everybody understands and subscribes to the thought of helping your body long term. But as a perfect example, stand up, Lynn.
Okay.
So Lynn is an ideal weight. She's in good shape, but she has a little tiny bit of tummy fat still, which most women do have, unless we've had a tummy tuck. You've got that little bit. So you can sit down. Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you want to know? My age, my height, my
That's
weight.
But we have a really nice combination peptide, tesamorelin and ipamorelin, 5 milligrams each. Oh, you're flashing. That we can take on a daily basis. It's still daily basis, but then still cycle off.
Correct.
Most peptides, there's very few peptides that you would. Are there any peptides that
Not
we?
really. You really should. at
Most
some point,
most
yeah.
peptides are cycled often.
You're
off
going
and
to still
on.
have some that will tell you that you could just keep taking them, but actually you get better results when you cycle off. Because part of it is that you don't want your gut body to get used to that peptide constantly signaling. You want to teach your body to signal on its own.
Yes.
So that kind of jump starts it, and then you come off of it so that you can get your body to kind of take over, and then you can come back and supplement more. And it
Yes.
kind of creates a habit for the body.
Yes. So a peptide like this will help burn fat, but it also has a growth hormone component to it. So it's helping your muscles.
Okay.
So going to the gym, you will get actually a better response from the weights that you are doing with this little help. And it's a microscopic amount. It's not very much when you see what's being
Okay.
drawn up in the syringe. It's a
And
little tiny dose.
My ignorance, growth hormone. I mean, I don't
Okay.
understand.
So it's naturally released from your pituitary gland, and its
Okay.
intent is to basically help in the growth. So that's where it gets its growth hormone, but in bone density, in muscle mass, and it plays in skin development. It plays on all your organs, but it is very critical for repair and
Okay.
maintenance. And
Okay.
so what will happen is when you exercise, you start breaking down muscle.
Right.
Well, that growth hormone comes in and actually helps in the repair process.
Okay.
But on its own will continue to stimulate other factors. Yeah, so it's very beneficial. And when we're doing these kind of GLPs, as a matter of fact, you hear a thing called peptide stacking. What peptide stacking really means is doing a combination of peptides that would be supportive to each other. So when we saw some of the GLP-1s before 2s, where we're seeing a lot of the muscle loss, we wanted to put something like tirzepatide, ipamorelin, samorelin, something of that nature in there, CJC 1295, to basically stimulate growth hormones so that we didn't see that loss like we did when just using the GLPs on their own.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but they're great questions.
I'm sorry. I'm just.
No,
No,
this
this
is
is-
no,
this is
this
educational
is
for everybody,
excellent.
yeah.
These are questions that everyone is going to have. So another peptide. Let's talk about MOTS-C and what I mean. MOTS-C is. I think it's just it's a fabulous peptide. So do you want to speak on MOTS-C?
Well, yeah, I mean,
And that's it's MOTS-C.
it's a mitochondrial support. It's a natural peptide that's found in the mitochondria, which is your energy producing
Right.
center of
Right.
your body. It basically is helping to guide the mitochondria to do what it should. which is very important because it's one of those that's great with NAD. So you can kind of walk into it. When you think of NAD that everybody hears about,
What's that?
in the simplest,
That's the next one.
yeah,
Okay,
well, it's a coenzyme, but it's what the simple thing to say about it is it's kind of the fuel. So if you were to kind of think of the mitochondria as a manufacturing plant, kind of think as the MOTC is guiding the plant in what it does, and NAD is supplying the energy to the plant so that it's the fuel that helps run everything efficiently.
Yeah.
And they really work synergistically with one another because MOTC also is playing on that mitochondria, that energy center, kind of helping it to overcome certain stresses, helping it to function at a more optimal rate. And when we're aging, these functions in our body, they drop by 25, 50, 75%. And what a lot of people don't realize, just like NAD, by the time you hit the age of 40, your NAD levels have dropped by 50%. By the time you're 60, they've dropped to 25%. By the time you're 80, I think it's around 15%. And it is crucial for energy in your body, for your cells just to function properly. So that's one of the key ones that we really put in there to support. So one, we fuel it, the other one, we give it better guidance on how to produce energy for the rest of your body. And then that will work in conjunction with all the other stuff, metabolism and, yeah.
So MOTC, we typically see 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week.
Is it injectable also?
It's an injectable
Okay.
also. There's such a wide range of opinions about, we're into our next, it's technically not a peptide, it's a coenzyme, as you already said, but we'll talk about an NAD because it's on everyone's mind right now because it's the big anti-aging thing, what we can do to really, and Mark just said how much our NAD levels have declined as we've aged. But even for younger, I mean 30s and 40-year-olds, you
What's
still
that?
you still need this. But NAD, we typically recommend 50 milligrams that very first injection, just to make sure that some people can get a flush with it, a feeling. People will describe it differently. So we want to minimize the way that feels. So then the next week we typically recommend just once a week injections with NAD. We'll say, okay, now go to 100 milligram and inject your NAD and see how you feel with it. There are people that suggest 300 milligrams of NAD a week. It has so much to do with your age, your lifestyle, your diet, how much you're working out, and how you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Too many variables to say
it's-
specifically.
it's not wrong to say 300 milligrams, but I don't think that there's very many people that need that much given to their system. I think I'm kind of in the 100 is good, and it's not going to hurt you, but just like everything else, 2-3 months on, 1 month, 6 weeks off. So cycling.
Moderation.
Yes, because your body says, oh, well, here's a faucet that, you're getting this free NAD, and your body just goes, okay, well, I can rest, and I don't have to work on producing that NAD. Well, we don't want that.
Correct.
Because if you get to a point where you're not getting your body the NAD, we don't want your body to go, wait, what? There's no NAD?
Exactly.
So we want you to cycle off and on. Again, keep those receptors active so that your body is still, it's not producing like it used to be, but your receptors are still producing NAD. So we want to keep that. Which then heads us into the next thing, which I just really love, as do most people, because it's out of stock a lot. This is a peptide that companies have a hard time keeping in stock, epithalin.
Oh yeah, I love epithalin.
Epithalin. So the end of our DNA strands are something called telomeres, and epithalin. Those shrink and they change the way DNA works. epithalin increases the length of those telomeres. So typically 1 to 2 times a year for 10 days. Again, they're kind of different views, but I'm going to say 1 to 2 times a year for 10 days, we inject epithalin to help lengthen the ends of the DNA strands and actually improve the way everything
Works.
in our body
And
works.
it's true because most people, when they think of telomeres, it's like when you see a shoestring, you see the plastic around the
Right.
shoestring. That's a telomere.
Okay.
It's a protective cap.
Okay.
And what people don't realize is that when those telomeres shorten, when the DNA cannot replicate itself perfectly, that cell dies. That's part of aging, right?
Right.
That's how we start bringing when they're looking at our biological age and they're saying, I tell people, looking at telomeres is like looking at rings on a tree. You can tell how old it is based on how many rings you can count. Well, depending upon how short your telomeres are, they can kind of predict aging. And so what we're really doing is continuing to add to those telomeres, allowing the cells to keep reproducing and reproducing. So that's,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
Shoestrings.
interesting.
That's right.
I love that. I love all analogies. Okay, and then our last two that we want to talk about, your favorites. BPC, Body Protection Compound 157, and TB 500. So they kind of go hand in hand. They don't have to be taken together, but BPC 157 helps repair injuries. When you have something that's wrong, you want to think about BPC 157 because just the name, Body Protection Compound. You can use BPC 157 in a very low dose as a preventative, but when you have something wrong, you can increase the dose and you can inject close to where the injury or the dysfunction is.
Okay.
A good example would be like biceps tendonitis.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Hands down. Absolutely.
yes.
Are you a tennis player? Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
But I had torn rotator cuffs, and so I was injecting the BPC close to my shoulder. So the closer that you can get it, the less it has to travel to the inflammation site, the more effective it can be. Now, if you just have some general arthritis, you can inject it abdomen, flank, butt. You can put it anywhere because it's going to just kind of go a little bit everywhere.
Okay.
Yes. TB 500 accentuates I hope you have a good analogy for the two.
Yeah.
Accentuates the healing properties. And TB 500, I'm going to let you take it from here.
So I like to look at TB 500 as the recruitment peptide. It basically is calling in all these cellular factors in order to come in and help in the repair. So where BPC is working on vascular development, blood flow and all this, and it's playing an anti-inflammatory side, TB 500 works synergistically with it because it's basically helping to drive in all the components that are necessary for the overall restoration. And honestly, they should really be used in conjunction with one another, particularly if you have any form of injury or aging. But that's when you're trying to call in stem cells, platelets, all kinds of different growth factors. It's a signaling molecule is the best way to put it. And it helps with cellular division. It just helps with a whole subset of things that are going to be in the restoration phase.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
My mom and I went to a presentation years ago in regards to stem cells.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the name of the company. Bob Lilly
Mhm.
is one of their spokespersons. He
Yeah.
had personally been through that.
Yeah.
How does that relate, or is there any
Oh.
con-
No, that's
connection,
actually
or-
great. No, it really is. And I'm going to give it from the example of this to just kind of keep it on a simple side. When you come in and you do an IV therapy, where you're infusing your body with all kinds of vitamins right there into the bloodstream, that's kind of like doing stem cells or stem cell derivative type products.
Mhm.
It's giving you a large jolt that's going to work around the entire body. When we look at peptides, we look at like going home and taking vitamin supplements. Now at that point, you're trying to keep everything heightened in your body so the body continues to keep repairing itself and reversing the aging process. To say that one does it better than the other, they're actually best used in conjunction with one another. But a lot of times what happens too is peptides are more affordable to start getting you to your point of healing, which is why they become so popular.
Okay.
But when it comes to overall repair, this is what actually is your repair center, is the stem cells in your body.
Okay.
So a lot of times we'll infuse those sort of things to help, restore the body as it should, and then use peptides to keep all those cells working at their optimal level.
Got it.
Yeah.
We will-
Perfect explanation.
In the future, we will have a lunch and learn about stem cells.
Great.
So there'll be another one that you'll want to.
Well, my mother passed away, it'll be 2 years ago in August, at the tender age of 95.
Oh
my
my goodness.
gosh.
Well, her stem cells are working just fine. That's,
Telomeres are long.
that's right, her telomeres were long. That's exactly right.
So,
Excellent.
We want to
Okay.
hear that she told us that she was using epithalon, right?
let me tell you, people ask her when she turned 95 or 90, 95, can't remember which one. Carolyn, what is your secret?
Yeah.
She said, really want to know? She said, coffee, milk,
Yep.
chocolate, and wine.
That's my background.
I love it.
She was amazing.
There's some good genes in
I was
there.
There is.
You know
And you
Llewellyn. You know Llewellyn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's got the genes too.
Yeah.
That's my sister.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
She
nice.
comes here. She's the reason I'm here.
Yep,
Oh, that's
yep.
awesome.
Okay, so before we leave injectables, are there any other questions? We're going to talk about just some wonderful. They're not technically. There is peptides in some of them, but some topical compounded creams that we have available to us for some different.
I think I've
Thanks.
got a good handle on what the acronyms mean
Yes.
Yes,
now. The
it's
only thing
it's a lot.
encourage you professionals is when you're dealing with somebody like me who's completely ignorant about, just be sensitive
Yeah,
to that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
So we'll have consultations where you can come in and we can talk one-on-one with specific, working up a plan, working up specific peptides to fit your need,
yeah.
things that
Got
you want to do. Yes, so
Right.
we'll be able to.
Perfect.
So this is just kind of an overall.
It's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
look at things. But before I talk about the compounded creams, do you want to just talk a second about Soluma and what it is and what we can look forward to seeing?
Yes. Okay, so who has heard of red light therapy or seen? Okay, it's kind of like protein, right? Red light therapy is everywhere. It's being promoted so profusely because it has so many amazing benefits. And so Josanne has decided to partner with Soluma. I'm representing that company. I will say I'm not completely trained, so I'm going to give a high level, and then what I'm going to do is send some information afterwards with more details. So I bet you're going to have a question that stumps me.
Watch, I have a reputation
That's
already.
You know, it's really exciting therapy. Like all of the things that we're talking about here are cutting edge. Low level light therapy or LED therapy or light emitting diode, those are all cutting edge therapies. They were actually designed by NASA, is where this technology was founded. So Soluma is the world leader. We have the most FDA clearances. We've won the most awards of any company in the world. So that's why I chose to partner with them and work for them and represent their company. It's exciting what you can do with this therapy. There are 5 things. I'm gonna look at my notes. 5 things that we can do. So it's not just about anti-aging on the face. It's not just about like, oh, I want my face to look prettier. Although we get that benefit,
Yes.
we have other benefits as well. So acne, it's going to treat acne for patients. It's going to treat aging skin. Body contouring there's a clearance for body contouring, so the GLP-1s are great in combination with the red light therapy, and I'm sure you guys have seen the ones that cover the entire body, so that's what you would want to do. Keeps flipping on me. Hair restoration, that's another one as we age, especially women, men too. I guess men and women are both sensitive to it, but hair, you can encourage new hair growth, so that's exciting. And then the last one, pain management. So arthritis, you can specifically target an area, like when you're talking about your bicep, you can put the device right there wherever you have the pain. Once I learn more, it has to do with affecting ATP and mitochondria and getting those cells that I'm not going to go into.
Well, it's great to use in conjunction with peptide therapy because it's like it's the energy source coming in.
Yes.
So that therapy is fantastic.
Yes.
And so our company has a flexible design, so it's not where you just have to, I'm sure everybody's seen the mask. This isn't just the mask, that's kind of like a kitschy little thing you can get at Sephora. It's cute.
I haven't seen the mask. That's funny.
It's not best in class, and it doesn't have all of these other modalities. So ours is flexible. You can do your hair, you can do your face, you can do your shoulder,
your knee, your hip,
all of those things. So that is Saluma. Any questions?
The other thing too, you can use it for healing. So when I say healing, it's like wound healing and stuff like that. It's I've used it for scarring, to prevent scarring, to help faster healing in terms of just aesthetic applications. Like you will use it red light therapy after doing any of these type of procedures that you're doing because it just creates more advanced healing. Rapid cellular turnaround, reduces the inflammation in the body as well. So no, it's fantastic.
Diabetics with wound healing, because it slows down healing. You can, and it's a very affordable, very painless, and very fast. You don't need to sit under the light for hours to. I mean, it's
a 30-minute session.
It's registered in minutes. Yes.
Depending on protocols, and I shouldn't have put it off 30 minutes, but depending on what you're trying to treat. But it actually feels good. It's kind of what I've been doing is using that as meditation time, and really kind of we're trying to improve ourselves. We really just need to slow down and meditate. And for me, it's been a good time of if you want to pray, I've been trying to pray during that time, and if you want to meditate, or it's really helped me to kind of slow down and overall well-being. So.
Okay. Well, we'll send you some information and we'll have it available too on our social media to have links. Okay, so just a handful of different compounding creams. I'm going to go through what they are and then talk about what the actual ingredients, the main ingredients in each cream are for. So the first one is just simply anti-aging. It's got an estrogen, a topical estrogen in a low dose with tretinoin, which is a vitamin A for cell turnover, combined with alpha lipoic acid, and vitamin C are antioxidants. So everything that we need to deal with anti-aging, this would be something that you would use at night only. It would not be a day cream. And all of these creams are, we do them in a 1 month supply, and it's a pre-measured pump. That would be in your consultation. We would decide if you needed to use anything else in addition to them in the evening, or if it would just be this cream. Brilliance, this one goes actually to, there's a lot of people that have excessive hyperpigmentation, specifically melasma. So it's got azelaic acid, niacinamide, get that word out, and tranexamic acid. So those all help with hyperpigmentation. Calming, this is more for people who have very flushed red faces, rosacea, a lot of broken capillaries on the skin. The calming cream works well for that. Cashmere it's an anti-aging cream also. It brings in caffeine as an antioxidant. The GHKCU, you'll see that in several of the creams, that is copper. So copper, I have wondered for a long time why the major companies don't have more copper in products, and Lynn and I were discussing this. I really feel that it's because of the stability, being able to stabilize the copper, because every cream that has copper in it is refrigerated. So I'm thinking that is the difference between a compounded that has a high dose of copper in it, and all of the creams that have a high dose of copper in it. The copper is kind of like my new favorite thing. Copper tightens skin. It repairs your skin's barrier. It improves the firmness. It improves the texture and the smoothness of the skin. It is for wound healing. It reduces inflammation, and then it also helps with hair growth and the thickness of the hair follicle. Down at the very bottom, you'll see that it's a solution that is copper that you can actually put. You don't need this at all. Look at all that thick hair over there.
Now my dad was bald. Okay?
I
my mother had lots of.
I can't wait to try it. So put it on the scalp and actually see a difference in the vitality of the hair. But I've been using, skipping down, I've been using Glow Cream for a month and have seen a tremendous improvement in my skin. I have just switched, now I'm only on day 2, where Glow Cream Plus, so it's the same copper and the niacinamide, but it also has a topical estrogen in it and the tretinoin. So I was leery until I talked to the compounding pharmacy people at Strive, where we get our creams. You can get irritation between using copper and a vitamin A. They have formulated it so that it's buffered, so that it won't be an issue. So I'm super excited about that, because I was having to do vitamin A one night, then the cream the other night, because I was afraid to use them
both
together.
Yeah.
Right. So super excited, because this is like the Glow Cream Plus touches on everything. Cashmere is really, because you don't have that estrogen compound to it. That is probably 30s and 40s skin, and then a more mature skin would be the Glow Cream Plus. Radiance, that is so many people, it's really difficult. You end up, as you age, you have dry skin, but then you have acne, you break out. And that adult hormonal acne is the hardest thing to really work on, and then you get discoloration on top of it. So the Radiance cream, really, it's got extra moisture in it. It's got the tranexamic acid for the discoloration. It's got a clindamycin, which is a topical antibiotic. So it's kind of got everything in it all together to really address all of the issues going on. And then the last thing is really for acne is the skin renewal, the dapsone, the niacinamide, and spironolactone. Spironolactone, we have found, we used to, when anyone would get acne, we would say, okay, spironolactone orally, but there's a lot of side effects with taking spironolactone orally. We found topically it still blocks the antigens, so you're not getting the oily skin that a lot of times produces acne, so it tamps all of that down without the negative side effects to it. And then I already talked about the GHK, the copper solution for hair growth. But these are all ordered specifically for you, sent directly to your home, and you can talk to me at any point and during the consultation at any time, even when you're coming in for your Botox. and we can talk about any of these new creams that we have available. So that pretty much wraps up everything that I wanted to talk about. Do you want to say anything in closing?
I mean, really, I think in the whole scheme of things is that what you're doing is you're bringing a whole toolbox of things that are going to play a key role in the longevity space. Because so many times we're, particularly as a med spa, you're being hit with my one product does everything.
Yes.
Where what we really need to be sharing with people is that it's a multitude of things coming together. They're working from different pathways.
Yes.
Right. So it is. I oftentimes will tell the story about just the pathways in the body of being kind of like everybody trying to get into Dallas. You've got I-30 that comes in, 175, 45. All these things are playing a role. But if you only find one pathway, if there is a traffic jam, you're not getting in. But if you're playing a multitude of pathways where you can come in from different angles, like the Dallas toll road, then all of a sudden now you have an entryway that can actually make a difference.
Excellent.
So that's just a little follow-up to the whole deal. But that's the way we're looking at peptides, that's the way we're looking at biologics in general, and anything you're doing in skincare, because you and I both know, we've been around for a long time. I've been doing the aesthetic stuff since 1998.
Wow.
And it is, I'm showing my age,
No,
right?
no, I never would have known that.
No, thank you. I'm just trying to follow
You must be
Kazan.
injecting it every day.
Absolutely. So, no, it's always little tidbits of information that help us kind of in our journey.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I wish more people could have taken advantage of it.
Well,
Okay.
hopefully,
The word
as
will
we
spread.
as we
Yes.
educate and have things more available to us, it's
So
it's
informative.
it's a super exciting time to be able to have access to
be
these
old.
things.
To be old,
Yes.
it's
I'm-
great.
To be
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
To have wisdom
Yes.
with youth. That's what we're all
Exactly.
striving
Oh,
for.
I like that. I'm
That's
going
right.
to use that.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Any questions that we haven't answered?
Nope.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, I'll show